Hi everyone, Stephen here at Teach Me Music, and today we're going to learn what we mean by left versus right. And what does that mean to us as a bass player? Well, it's pretty straightforward, and I'll tell you about it right now, hence why you're watching. So the left is what we call the fretting hand. And the reason why I'm using these kind of strange terms for now is because if you're playing left-handed, then everything is going to be reversed to what I'm telling you. If you're playing left-handed, it means your left hand is the one that's going to be touching the strings, and your right hand is the one that's creating the notes. But if you're playing like me, which is right-handed, your right hand is going to be playing the strings, and your left hand is the one that's actually making the notes, it's making the sound. So your left hand, for me, is the one that we call the fretting hand, and that's spelled F-R-E-T, fretting hand. And the idea is that this one is what's going to push down on all the frets. And just in case you don't know or you've skipped the video, a fret is the metal strip right here, and what you do is you put your finger just before it and you push down with the tip of your finger. Doesn't matter which finger you're using, the idea is that it's just before the fret with the tip of the finger. And the idea is going to take a while until you can do this quite comfortably, because the tips of your fingers are going to be quite soft when you start playing. The idea is that eventually, and it could take weeks, it could take months, it depends how much you play bass, but eventually the tips of your fingers will go hard because you'll develop what we call calluses. And if you do that, it means you can play bass for longer because the strings aren't going to cut into the skin as much. And when I say cut in, I don't mean you're going to draw blood, I don't mean it's actually going to cut the skin off. It's just going to literally indent the skin, but it's going to hurt a little if you play bass a lot when you first start out. So try and gradually increase how often you play bass, and that way you won't have to go through that aggro, and you won't have to go through that like awkward phase where the tips of your fingers hurt a bit because you're going from soft skin to hard skin. So the idea is this is always the fretting hand just before the fret. That's where your note's coming from. That is the left hand for me, and if you're playing left-handed, it's the right hand. So from now on, we're going to be saying fretting hand and what the other hand is called. This one, the right hand for me, is called the plucking hand. And the plucking hand is the one that actually hits the strings, it's the one that you roll across, and it's the one that causes the string to vibrate. It doesn't matter whether you're playing with a plectrum, it doesn't matter whether you're playing with the tips of your fingers or your thumb. The idea is it's still called your plucking hand. So obviously for me that's my right hand. If you're playing left-handed, once again it's your left hand. And the idea is to get you used to this, we just want to use the index and the middle finger, and we want to just run the tips of your fingers over the strings like this. So this is my index finger. Just nice and gently, the tip of your finger rolling. Don't whack the string, you want to roll gradually over the string, so it's almost like you're going like this. It's like a bump in the road. So just nice and lightly over the top with the tip of your finger, and then obviously with your middle finger as well. The reason why we're going to use both is because if you need to play fast bass lines, which we will eventually, you need to be able to use both fingers. So I'm going to go index, middle, just nice and lightly over the top. You can what we call dig in more, which means to hit the string harder if you want to, which means you're going to get a louder sound, but it takes more effort and it takes more energy. So try and find a balance for you. If you like the sound, you can dig in more. If you like to be more like me and use subtle movement, you can obviously do it nice and gently, nice and lightly. What you want to do though is to be able to do that across all 4 strings. The reason why you want to do that is because each string has a different thickness, which means when you're running your fingers across the E string, the idea is that's quite thick, so that's not really going to dig into your skin that much. If you go to the A string, it gets a bit thinner, and you'll start to notice the difference. Then when you go to your D string, you're going to start to notice the difference even more because it's getting thinner again. And if you go to the G string, it's the thinnest it's ever going to get on a 4-string bass. And this is the string that's going to cut into your fingers a little bit more because it's a little bit like coarse to the touch, a little bit sharper. And it's because the string is a bit thinner, which means it cuts into the tips of your fingers a bit more. So you want to build calluses on your plucking hand as well. And the easiest way to do that is to just do what I just did, index and middle finger over the top of each string, and just do that as often as you can, and you'll start to build obviously the endurance and the stamina and the consistency and also the hard skin on the tips of your fingers. So you don't want to be playing with the pad where your fingerprint is. You don't want to be playing with that part. You want to be playing just below the nail with the tip of your finger. And that is your plucking hand, which is your right hand. And the idea, the reason why this video is called left versus right, is because they need to work together or they need to battle each other. And the idea is that if you want to make a sound, this hand, the fretting hand, needs to hold a note down, and your plucking hand needs to play and pluck the same string at the same time. So if you've got your fretting hand on the G string and your plucking hand on the E string, that's not going to work because they're completely unsynced. They're not lining up. So you need to make sure that you've got good two-hand coordination, and we're going to go into that in other videos. It's just so you're aware of it right now from the offset, and that's why your left versus right, whether it's right-handed or left-handed, doesn't matter. You just need to remember the terminology and the words. So fretting hand is the one that plays all the frets, plucking hand is the one that causes the strings to vibrate, and the exercise for this lesson is just to get comfortable playing anything by lining your fretting hand up and your plucking hand up, and just keep playing until it starts to hurt a little, discomfort, and then the idea is stop, do it again another day, build that consistency, build that hard skin, build that hard fingertip, and then you can play bass for longer, more consistently, and it won't cause you any injury. One little thing to note though, just before we sign off, if you've managed to cut, graze, or take off some of the skin on your fingertip for whatever reason, I'm not going to ask any questions, but if you have, then the idea is when you push down on either hand or when you play a string, it's going to hurt a little because you haven't got the protective barrier of obviously all of the skin. So if you do have a cut, just be mindful of that. It's still going to build the hard skin on your fingertip, but it's going to feel a little bit harder. It's going to feel a little bit worse. So just bear in mind that if you are playing bass, be prepared for that. If you don't and you've got nice, pristine skin like I have at the minute, you're going to actually play absolutely fine. No one's going to complain. So just make sure that you've got left and right, fretting hand, plucking hand, and then you'll be able to play any bass line you want and actually start to enjoy bass because you won't have to go through that weird phase where everything hurts. So hopefully you found this useful, and obviously when you're ready, we'll see you again next time.